Okay, so we're here to for us to share my thoughts about the Leopold FC660. All right, full disclosure, I am sharing my views and opinions of this keyboard as an HHKB user working on a Mac OS system most of the time. Although I do have a PC that I use for gaming, but again, most of my daily work revolves around the Mac OS system, so I'm reviewing this keyboard as that user. I bought this keyboard with my own money, therefore, all my opinions shared are my own and not influenced by any sponsor. Okay, so this is the Leopold FC660C, which is their um, popular 66% layout. But I mean, the difference is it's equipped with Topre electrocapacitive key switches. This particular variant that I have is what they call the low noise variant, which means it's using the Topre switches with silencer rings. The keycaps are all PBT with dye sublimation printing. One thing that it's probably worth noting here is that they are using PBT for everything, including the spacebar, which was historically using ABS in previous versions of it. We'll dive into the key switches more in a bit. Um, as far as uh, as far as the layout is concerned, um, the keyboard seems to be primarily designed for Windows OS. It does have dip switches that allows you to either disable the Windows key, or switch the Alt and the Windows key, um, which allows it to be a little bit more usable with Mac OS. And the other thing that they can do is you can do is to switch the caps lock and the control keys, which I already did here. However, I mean, again, like I said, it's usable with Mac OS. But as an HHKB user, I think there's a missed opportunity here that they could have added an additional option that allows you to move or switch the backspace key from the first row to the second row. So again, closer to the HHKB that I'm already used to. As far as connectivity, it is using a detachable cable, and I don't know, as you can see, we're already halfway 2020, and this thing is still using mini USB ports for connectivity. To be fair, between micro USB and mini USB, um, it's a wiser choice probably to go with the latter since it's less fragile. I mean, hopefully in the future iterations, we'll see this keyboard sporting a USB-C, given that more and more devices nowadays are come out with USB-C. So that will be a welcome addition. All right. So with regards to the key switches and the inevitable comparison with the HHKB Type-S. So like I've mentioned earlier, it is using Topre switches, but uh, the difference here is that it's using uh, the purple ones. Um, the purple meaning that it's using the Topre key switches with the purple sliders, which basically allows them to have a key travel of still have a key travel of 4 millimeter, even with the silencer rings, just like the real force silent variants. Compare that with the HHKB Type S, which is using a different key with the silencer on it, changes the key travel from 4 millimeter to 3.8 millimeter. The other key difference here is that the Leopold is using a metal backing board, a metal plate for housing the keys compared to the plastic that comes with the HHKB. As far as the sound quality goes, from my short time owning this keyboard, It seems that the Leopold is more silent, but you'll see later later in the video that the difference between this and this is not much different, really. Given they're both Topre, I guess that's not much of a surprise. But one thing that you'll notice, or that I would give a credit to Leopold, is that the stabilizers on the Leopold, in my opinion, is better, which allows it to have like a more consistent sound across the board, including the spacebar. Um, like um, the HHKB that I have, even with the silent version, always has like a little bit of rattle depending on where you hit it. Whereas with the Leopold, you don't have that much of rattle, so it's more consistent. So the other thing that's kind of different here is that I don't know if it's the keys themselves or the fact that the it's using a metal plate, but it feels that the sound is the talkiness, or lack of a better term, is somewhat different, and the key seems to be just a tad stiffer or and snappier. I guess it's kind of hard to convey that feeling on a video unless you actually try the keyboard yourself. But all in all, I think, in my opinion, this is probably more the typing experience on the Leopold is probably more comparable to the real Force than the HHKB, where it's usually often compared with. Regarding the whole build quality now, I would say it's it's pretty solid. I mean, I cannot really, it's hard to find fault on this. I mean, it's Leopold. I mean, I would say it probably even has a better build quality than the HHKB that I have. Even though I'm already an avid HHKB user. But having said all of that, though, the fact that the HHKB is natively supporting Mac OS, and the fact that I'm already accustomed to the HHKB layout, I would still prefer this over the Leopold. Again, that's just me. I'm not saying that the the Leopold is a bad keyboard, but I guess it would boil down to the usability of it, because quality wise, you can't really go wrong with either. Even with the typing experience, it's just that it will boil down to, are you a Windows user or a Mac OS user, and do you prefer um, a wireless versus a wired keyboard? Depending on those, if you're a Windows user and you prefer a wired keyboard, it's really hard to go wrong with the Leopold. I would say you should go with this. Um, Plus the fact that it's cheaper. That's my take on the Leopold FC660C. And in the next section of the video, you will see the differences of typing sound between among the HHKB Hybrid Standard, HHKB Hybrid Type-S, and finally the Leopold FC660C.